You've been asked to facilitate a session, perhaps it's for a client or even worse, your own team. Relax. Hey, my name is Werner Puchert and I believe most of the world's problems, including ones like these, are just interesting design challenges in disguise. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about facilitation and some of the ideas that has given me confidence over the years. And then also I have an interesting set of frameworks that will help you think about facilitation a little bit differently and also help you put some interesting sessions together when you are next in line to facilitate a session. Now, according to Adam Kaheen, there's a couple of definitions that I want to share to you that kind of just lifted my spirit a little bit over the years, thinking about my role as a facilitator and what it means to facilitate a group of people. First of all, the folks that are coming into the session, to an extent, want to collaborate. They want to work together. The second thing that needs to be true for me is that they believe that there's a shared or a common challenge that they can contribute or collaborate to solve. So just to recap, people want to collaborate and they believe that there is a common problem or a challenge they want to solve. So as a facilitator, your job in a session is really to remove any obstacles to collaboration. Now, what kind of obstacles might you find in sessions? The first option or obstacle that you'll find is obstacles to connection. Now, you want people to be able to connect with each other, and sometimes you need to set up exercises or kind of interactions to allow people to get to know each other and to create connection between the participants in your sessions. The second obstacle that might come up in your session is obstacles to contribution. This I look for a lot when you walk around and you look at the session and how people are collaborating, and then subtly kind of get the quiet people to also contribute, or perhaps get the loud people to listen to the quiet people a little bit. And then finally, the one is probably the toughest one, any obstacle that relates to equity. Remember, we are bringing a whole bunch of people together these days globally, different backgrounds, different culture, different orientations, different abilities. And we as facilitators need to be sensitive to that and remove any obstacles that stand in the way of collaboration. So those are a couple of definitions that I hope that you'll also take away with you as a facilitator, because for me, it takes a lot of weight on my shoulders when I go into sessions, when I think about, hey, your job is not about being the superstar or the dancing monkey. Remove obstacles to collaboration. Okay, so hopefully I've dispelled some of the kind of illusions around facilitation, but then you might say to me, Werner, I still sit with an empty slate. How do I get started? And this is where the Facilitator Cards by Meg Bolger and the team comes in really handy. This seemingly simple set of cards is actually a whole bunch of frameworks, tried and tested frameworks that will help you facilitate your sessions. Now, you might ask me, Werner, another card deck? I think in this instance, even though if you follow the Facilitator Cards team and you go to all their digital channels, there's tons and tons of digital content. In this case, it really makes sense because the tangible cards that you can move around just helps me, for example, plan my sessions better. So without further ado, let's crack open this box and see what's inside. Cracking open the box, nice and quality and sturdy. Oh, there's a little note inside. I don't know if you can see it. You're gonna make magic, it says. A lot of instructions and layout on the box here. And then inside you'll find a set of 60 cards, 4 color codes here. And I'm gonna go into the detail of the color codes in a second. The quality of the cards are quite nice. You'll see at the back. So the content in the front, and then there's this white space at the back. And then let's say I want to run this exercise and I want to quickly make notes like, listen, Werner, don't forget that this exercise is 15 minutes. And if you're clever and you're using a dry wipe, you can, after the session, you grab your sneersdoekie or tissue and then get rid of your notes. And then it's ready to go for the next session. So now that we have the practical cards things out the way, let's talk a little bit about the construct and categories and how this card deck actually can help you put a session together. As I mentioned, the cards are divided into 4 categories here that I've laid out. Each of the categories contains 14 sets of exercises each. Each of the categories have an empty card that you can then add your own exercises to. The different categories consist out of emotion. So emotion is around setting up the connection. And then once you've set the context and people understand why they're there, you want to dive into ideation. And then there's a whole set of 14 exercises that you can look at and tips around running an ideation session. And then, of course, you want to dive a little bit deeper, go into the details, or perhaps prioritize some elements. And then you have whole set of 14 exercises here in the orange, demarcated by the lightning bolt, that indicates clarification, and you can dive into that. And then finally, what is the next steps? How do we execute against this? What are we going to do next? Then you go into execution, and then once again, as I mentioned, 14 exercises here that kind of gives you a guide of what you can do to go into the execution phase of your session. Now here I have one of the cards from the emotion category. On the back, pretty simple. You've got a bunch of icons here demarcating the value of the card, or what this card is for, and I'll get to that in a second. But then you have, of course, this open space that you can use your dry wipe on to add notes, like maybe timing or other logistics that you require. Flipping it around, let's get into the details. Now here is the exercise laid out in copy, so very succinct. Top left here, you'll see like on this specific card, you have a bunch of concentric circles. That demarcates the group size. So for example, for thinking and feeling here in this example that I have in my hand, you'll see this is a larger group that might work for. So you kind of start balancing out what you want to do and where you have to do breakouts. The other element that's interesting, and funny enough, I have two cards showing the same thing, is like what kind of props do you need? So for example, here in silent reflection, you might need some paper and a pen. For dot voting, some custom stuff, maybe some sticky dots or feedback frames, or maybe you need some sticky notes and a pen. Now, once again, I'm not going to show you all the cards out of respect for Meg and the team, because I think really if you want to go support them, go grab the content from them, it will be worth your while. But now you might ask me, okay, Vanner, how do you use these? And the facilitator team actually has a few suggestions on how you can use the cards for different scenarios. So for example, if you want to run a session where you just want to explore what people are thinking, or perhaps around emotion, I've just selected some exercises at random here. So let's see if this works. Is that, for example, you want to maybe run a thinking and feeling exercise, asking people individually in a group what they think around a specific topic, and then maybe you want to follow that up with a small little exercise, one of my favorite ideation exercises, done as individuals. So that's a full group exercise. You don't need any props. Here you can do an individual kind of thinking around reverse engineering. So this can be a nice way to do a projection exercise around emotion. So now a lot of us want to run exercises or do sessions around ideation. Simple, what you want to do is maybe you want to start off with the ideation exercise. Once again, the reverse engineering is there. You have the context, and then I've just picked the exercise from the list, is that you want to get a little bit of clarification. Okay, now that you've done the ideation session, maybe you want to go into a next session or completely different session where you want to get some clarification around some thoughts and ideas. And for that, the team recommends that you look at running some clarification exercises, and then perhaps dipping into some ideation, and then you can follow that up with execution. Then what's the next steps? What are we going to actually action around that? I just randomly drew these cards, and I think they kind of work already. And then for the final example, let's say you want to run a session where you just want to focus on execution. Run the execution exercise, and perhaps that brings up some questions, and then what you want to do is maybe think about some clarification on that again. And this is what I really enjoy about this card deck, is the fact that there is more than just exercises and cards. There's a little bit of a framework here that guides you along the way. And if you're kind of stuck, just look at their suggestions, and then you can dip into these and move them around at will. We exist to help you engage groups in process. Indeed they do. So Facilitator Cards, Meg and the team, awesome set of cards, love these. Go check them out at facilitatorcards.com. If you're not ready to commit yourself to purchasing that set yet, you can download a preview pack. And then, as I mentioned before, tons of content on the website to get stuck in for free, freebies. Support creators like these. It's really worth your while. So go check these out, and please share some of your exciting little tidbits. I'd love to know more. And as always, catch you in the comments. Oh look, there's something at the bottom of this box as well. So here is, you're gonna make magic, and then here, you're made of magic. Nice touch.